the camera, or well, oh, is it already streaming?
That's all right. You can edit anyway, right?
No, this is live. We are live,
which is unusual because you're usually dead.
That's right. We are
or both. Working is a state of both living and death in the same, simultaneous.
Yes, like Schrodinger's cat. We are both live
Schrodinger's
and
cat.
dead.
I don't know about Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat is.
That's what I said.
Schrodinger's cat.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
You're just imagining things.
I imagine all sorts of things, but not that.
You just didn't hear what I meant. You heard what I said.
That is true.
All right.
I won't argue that point. Well, I did know what you meant.
Well, of course you knew what I meant. You're not for
an opportunity to give you immense crap. I'm going to do it because, it's my nature.
Yes. Well, in any case, we're doing a live broadcast because we're checking out our new equipment.
Well, our old equipment is still perfectly functional, but sometimes you got to add technical equipment.
Yes. And of course,
a microphone.
We have to give you all sorts of updates and all the stuff happening in our universe.
Yes, the universe is full of colossal change.
Yes.
Not all of it good, but I'm sure some of it will be.
No, sadly, as you may know, we used to have the site. We used to be on the site called Dirty Crick Media, where we had 100 movies that we hosted.
All sorts of fun stuff.
And dozens of cartoon caverns.
Yes.
Where Uncle Spicy there was hosting cartoons for Saturday morning.
Emperor Jonwayne's Freaky Flex, Uncle Spicy's Cartoon Cavern, and all sorts of great stuff.
But then the site
band had the strike.
This site disappeared on us, and now it's gone. And there's no record of the existence of all these videos we created with our thousands of viewers we had.
It's very, very sad. So much quality entertainment that's gone.
And currently, we no longer have a producer or an editor. So I'm experimenting myself.
Ooh.
I'm going to try to create stuff until we can find a volunteer.
Because we're like cockroaches. You can step on us, but we keep going.
That's right.
And
we've been around for
stop us.
20 years of videos. Why stop now?
It ain't going to stop.
Even though we came closer to attaining our goals than ever before, only to have it taken away from us, right from underneath our feet.
You don't want to get near his feet, so that was pretty courageous in itself.
Speaking about my feet, I do have a video where I show them for all you people.
That's only for the strong. Do not watch it if you're weak or human or mortal, because that you might not be able to handle it.
That's right. You cannot handle the truth.
That's true.
My feet.
Nobody can.
Whoops.
Oh no.
Oh no. Trying to adjust.
That's how you know it's live.
Yeah. See, there's the microphone. Come on, camera. We're trying to get us centered.
Hopefully no one's getting motion sickness because they're going around and putting all that stuff through.
Well, there we go. Almost. No.
Almost.
That's weird.
See, the problem with the Emperor is he's always playing with this thing, and that can sometimes cause us
Hey,
problems.
don't talk about my thing.
I'm just saying.
That might get us an R rating.
They're going to... Ooh, was that going to help?
Maybe. Some people might want to know about my thing, but...
I'm just saying, that they got to understand so they'll know what's going on and they won't get freaked out.
So,
more
in any case, I am here live with Uncle Spicy, also formerly known as Spicy Larry on delay, and before that, The Flash. And do you want to tell everyone your real name?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why would I do that?
Because
never give your real name, because then they can find you. What if your exes knew? Well, they kind of know your name. What if your exes knew the name you're using now, and then he showed up?
Well, I'm more or less using my real name.
Well, I'm just, you know what I mean.
Yes. So in any case, I've known this gentleman for over 30 years.
Or 300 centuries.
Yes.
Time doesn't pass for us like regular mortals.
We used to go to school together at this place called Platteville.
We were college students together.
We were.
Can you believe we were actually in college?
So, Uncle Spicy, would you care to tell all these people about what you do in the real life?
No.
Oh, okay. Would you care to tell them about your favorite hobbies?
Comic books. Acting. Hanging around with this guy, which I can't explain. Yeah, that's right up there too.
And today happens to be May 4th, which is Free Comic Book Day.
For nerds everywhere, this is a day of double celebration. I mean, obviously, yes, Free Comic Book Day. Free is the Emperor's favorite thing, and it's pretty high on my list too. And free comic books. But more than that, it's Star Wars Day. It's May the 4th.
Yes.
Double geek pleasure.
triple geek pleasure because some people do the May the 4th be with you with Tom Baker from Doctor Who.
Yes, and I would actually put celebrating Doctor Who even before Star Wars.
So, since we're interviewing you, Mr. Spicy Larry, tell us about your favorite comic books.
We're not going to be streaming for 24 hours, are they?
No.
I started collecting since I was young. Obviously, superhero titles are a big thing for me, and I collect from all publishers. I do have Marvel. I do have DC. I have Image. I have Archie. I have Dark Horse. I have Atlas. I have all sorts of stuff from anyone you can think of and then some. American Mythology is one I've been collecting from. Not just for superhero stuff, but also because I'm a huge Three Stooges fan, and they put out Three Stooges comics. I try to cover all genres. Usually I collect based on my favorite villains, because the villains are the ones that make the hero look good. Mm-hmm. You don't have a good superhero if you don't have good villains.
So tell me your favorite super villains.
Oh, man. Well, I'll talk about one we can get excited about now. There's going to be a Kraven the Hunter movie coming out from Sony Columbia. I don't know if it's this year or next year. Now, normally these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man are kind of questionable choices. But Kraven the Hunter looks like it's going to have a good version of the Rhino, who's one of my favorites. The Rhino was a version in, I think, Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was an abomination. I didn't care for that version at all.
He's like riding a giant mech instead of being a mutated creature.
Right. I mean, the mutated creature to me is more believable because someone with super steroids could probably look like that. But just having a kind of high-tech armor for the Rhino just doesn't work. But this one looks promising. Plus, of course, there's a Thunderbolts movie coming out, and I love Thunderbolts.
So yes, as far as I understand, you have every issue of Thunderbolts ever published.
I have a complete run of Thunderbolts, including the first appearance in Incredible Hulk.
So why is the Thunderbolts your favorite title?
Because the Thunderbolts, okay, this is a spoiler for all you kids who haven't read Thunderbolts, and if you haven't and you want to, you might want to leave the room for a few minutes. If not, don't say I didn't warn you. When the Thunderbolts first appeared, it was in a storyline when the Fantastic Four and the Avengers were taken to another reality, and there was a shortage of superheroes. So a new team came up called the Thunderbolts to kind of fill the void. But it was revealed that they were actually the Masters of Evil, a group of villains of the Avengers. And I love the Masters of Evil because I love supervillains. In fact, my favorite Marvel storyline is probably the Avengers Under Siege when they took over Avengers Mansion. I love that story. When I found out there's a series about the Masters of Evil pretending to be superheroes, I had to get it. So I got the issues that were available in the first appearance of the Hulk, like I mentioned, and everything since then. It's a great comic. I love them. Now, the Thunderbolts, I'm going to give them a chance. I'm not too excited because they aren't using any of the classic lineups. You see, Marvel has this weird thing where they want all their comics now to follow along with the movies, and I think it should be the other way around. It's the comic books that provided the inspiration. They should be following them, not vice versa. I don't think it's a good idea to try to do it the other way.
Now, as for me, the one comic book series that I have every issue of happens to be Alpha Flight, which is kind of interesting. It's a weird synthesis halfway between the X-Men and the Avengers, always associated with the X-Men because of Wolverine and Department H, but they're not all mutants, kind of like the Canadian Avengers.
Yes, they're a Canadian superhero team like the Avengers, but he's right. They were first introduced in the X-Men, and they're kind of affiliated with the X-Men, which kind of makes sense.
They're sort of a more tongue-in-cheek version of a superhero team, although they get lots of problems. And of course, they're from Canada. And of course, one of their core members, Sasquatch, used to be the quarterback to the Green Bay Packers.
That's another reason to love Sasquatch.
And being that we are from Wisconsin, that's extra brownie points for us.
Although it's interesting too that his origin, he was also exposed to massive amounts of gamma radiation, or that was his original origin. Marvel likes to change things every few years, but he never turned green, which is weird for of course now we have the Red Hulk and we have characters who have a different color.
And the orange Sasquatch.
Well, right. Sasquatch was the exception to the rule. He was orange, not green, unlike all the other gamma characters. And now we got red characters too. So I'm wondering if it really was gamma radiation or what's going on. It's been suggested different storylines. It's been different things. And for a while, he was actually a woman, which is a whole other issue. I don't know if I want to talk about that because I think that one was kind of a weird story, but he was female at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who are intrigued, you might want to check out your old Alpha Flight issues.
Yes.
It is a fun series. The original run by John Byrne. Mwah. And there's a third volume, which was more humorous. That was good. And the Omega Flight series from a few years back wasn't bad either. Well, to point that out, Omega Flight was initially enemies of Alpha Flight, but then there's another version of the team that used that name.
Yeah, well, originally it was designed to be the training ground for Gamma Flight was the training ground, and the Gamma Flight got infiltrated and taken over and became their enemies, and then of course they became Omega Flight.
Gamma Flight, Beta Flight, Alpha Flight. I think Gamma, if I remember right, were the new recruits, and Beta was second string, and Alpha Flight was the first string. Omega Flight, yeah, they were like the villains initially when they were first introduced. But since villains are cool,
but they were composed of
right.
The other flights,
former rejected or disgruntled members of Alpha Flight.
So you mentioned that you like acting. Tell us about your acting, about your history in theater.
I started acting when I was a teenager, which is a long time ago. I've been doing theater on and off ever since. My specialty is comedy, go figure. But I do like doing other styles when I have the opportunity to do so. I love local theater. You should support local theater. And I especially love community theaters that give plenty of people a chance to perform. There's a lot of talent out there, and it's foolish not to take advantage of it. He's done a fair amount of acting as well. He started younger than I was. I was 16 or actually 15 when I started acting in front of people. And you started, well, how old were you when you started?
8, maybe.
When you did your local thing that you're talking about. Yeah, see.
Summer theater.
Right. We didn't have that in my hometown. I was raised in Ripon. We didn't have that when I was at that age.
Yeah, that was like something that they had for, like people that didn't want to go to those parks activities or whatever.
Right.
So the parents could get rid of their kids for half a day, and they would accept anyone in it. But eventually got into central cast to become a great star.
The grand American tradition is ditch your kids for a while.
Now, you also did directing too.
Yes, and so did you.
Indeed, I did. So, what was your favorite play to have directed?
Oh, there's a couple of there that vie for top honors. The one that was probably the most fun to do was Don't Drink the Water. Although my leading man was so hammy, you wouldn't believe it. But,
Well, I was playing Walter in there, and a lot of people said that I was channeling an inner
Jackie
Gleason, which is actually ironic because Jackie Gleason made a movie of it, but he sucked in that particular movie because he wasn't acting like himself.
Well, the thing is, Jackie Gleason is famous for playing Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners, and that character is a lot like Ralph Cramden, but when he did the movie, he refused to play him that way, which is an actor's prerogative, but it hurt the movie because he would have been much better if he had played
because it was obviously written with that kind of character in mind.
That one was fun, but I also directed Three Musketeers, which had some bumps and things backstage, but it was a great show to do. I love swashbucklers. There's a lot of humor in it, and he was in that as well.
Indeed.
Playing my favorite character, Porthos.
Yes. Who would have thought I'd play a slightly heavy set, bigger than life?
Yeah, go figure that
ham.
casting. Go figure that. Who was very vain, worried about how he dressed and that sort of thing. Yeah, that sounds vaguely familiar too.
No doubt. So what was your favorite role that you played as an actor?
So many. A couple of recent favorites. One obviously was in The Nerd, playing Rick Stedman. Playing a completely obnoxious, unlikable nerd was so much fun. And such a stretch.
Coincidentally, it was a play that I directed.
Yes, he did. And also I played Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream, which is one of my bucket list parts. Because I like Shakespeare too, believe it or not. I just like variety is the spice of life. I firmly believe that. And doing all sorts of things and having all sorts of interests, it's good for an individual to be broad-minded and exposed to different stuff. Just sticking yourself in one little rabbit hole, I don't think you're really treating yourself right if you do that.
So, do you have anything else you wish to share with our viewing audience?
Not if we're trying to keep this family friendly.
Okay, well, tell us some more about your interests and hobbies.
We should, I would point out, if anyone, can they leave comments on these things?
Yes, they
if
can.
Anyone leaves comments and questions, we could always do future videos where we, do comments and stuff. Like as a comic books, acting.
I mean, technically speaking, if anyone decided to watch it,
they could
put comments here and we could respond to them.
But for hobbies, yeah, comic books has been doing that since I was a child. Acting is good. I'm a big movie buff. I love watching movies, which is why
nobody knew we were going to go live. So our dozens and dozens of fans were ill prepared for Saturday afternoon.
That's because sometimes things happen spontaneously.
Yes.
You never know what's going to happen on Star Wars Day and Free Comic Book Day.
Indeed.
There could be all sorts of chaos that we'd be involved in.
Yes, indeed. So do you want to tell them about the comics you picked up today?
I just picked up whatever superhero titles were available. And I also picked up a back issue of what was it? I think it was Marvel Team Up, because it has Silver Samurai, who's another villain that I like, plus a trade paperback of Marvel 2-in-1 that does have one of my favorite there's a few superheroes I favor. The Thing is one of them from my childhood. And I love Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel from the Shazam series. I'll collect pretty much anything with him. I think that it was wrong when DC acquired him to make him just part of their regular universe, because he's always shoved at the side. He, at his height in the Golden Age, he outsold Superman. He outsold everybody. And I think he'd be better served in his own universe rather than being, sidelined with Superman, who wasn't as popular as he was at their peak.
Yes, unfortunately, Marvel got the rights to the name, but they didn't decide to take the character. But they could have taken the character, and then they would have had their own answer to Superman that would have been, almost as popular, obviously as powerful, but they blew it.
Well, Marvel, their lawyers told them you should acquire the name Captain Marvel because some other publisher could take it and then use it and, put out their own crap and say, hey, this is a Captain Marvel comic, which could hurt their business. So Stanley, they went and acquired it, but then Stanley says he didn't want to use the character. For whatever reason, he didn't like the character. So he decided to create a new Captain Marvel. But you're right, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if they would have actually acquired the original Captain Marvel and used it.
Another big mistake Marvel made in terms of copyrights is they actually, for a while, had a copyright to the word zombie. But then they decided zombies weren't that cool, and they let the copyright go to the wayside, and they started calling their zombies Zuvembies.
Considering the fact that they have a copyright on the term mutants, and they in DC share the copyright on the term superhero, I think they're doing okay.
Oh, sure. But now that zombies have become mainstream and popular, if they would have had a copyright for that, it would have been better for them. Oh, but they let it go.
Speaking of it, yes, about superheroes, like there's one I forgot to mention that I want to. Daredevil, not the Marvel Comics Daredevil, the original Golden Age Daredevil, who was originally put out by Glove Gleason Publications. He's also in currently in Dynamite Entertainment. He's been in like the Project Superpower series, and he's also appears in Image Comics. For a while, he was a character in the Savage Dragon series. He's a very cool character. His costume design clearly influenced the later Daredevil, and his weapon of choice was boomerangs. And I thought he was really cool. And he also battled the Claw, which was a great Golden Age supervillain.
As opposed to the Marble Claw.
Right.
That with a K.
Right. This is CLAW, and he was pretty cool. The original Claw was pretty cool in his own right. And they still bring him back once in a while, which is surprising since he's got an Asian character, and they seem to not want to use Asian supervillains for whatever reason. I mean, to me, I can understand if someone thinks it's a racial stereotype, but they're just trying to create a cool villain, and they're not supposed to be believable.
You know what's really funny when you think about it? I mean, this is kind of a podcast because we're casting. It's a pod. Back when we first started making videos, like 20 years ago or so, we had this guy that was like filming for us and we did some on the side when he wasn't around, where we were like talking about various subjects and stuff like that. And he's like, well, I don't want to have videos with two guys like sitting around talking about stuff. And it's like, but now they have things called podcasts, which have become super popular, where they have people sitting around talking about stuff. And we literally could have invented the whole genre. But, well,
that's how it goes.
Yeah. Sadly, we have this thing where we keep finding these people that want to produce or direct or whatever with us.
We used to do that stuff ourselves.
Oh, sure.
And I'll be the first to admit that I don't have the patience to do it really well. And I thought we'd serve our fans better, our followers and our friends, we should call them, our friends better if we had a really good producer and director. And we've had some good ones.
Oh, sure.
But unfortunately, there's been partings of ways, and we're still looking for a good producer. If you're a good producer or director, if you think you can do something with us, then of course you could. Let us know, because we would love to be able to work with someone who's serious about it.
Yeah. Like for a while, my daughter was helping us.
Right.
But then she had to get this boyfriend and moved to Sheboygan.
A classic story. Usually it's the other way around. The Dungeons and Dragons game is interrupted by a new girlfriend. And now, hey, she's happy and I'm happy for her. He's a good guy and we're happy for her. But that's fate. Something like that happens, and the good time ends.
Yeah, then we had that guy, Eli, that you used to always call Frodo.
Frodo!
He was a great guy, but...
Frodo's a good guy.
But then something happened, his channel disappeared.
Right, so
he
Frodo's
disappeared
into nether regions of something.
Yeah.
For now.
I mean we had some people like Brian and Josh and Jamie that occasionally made some videos for us, but then sort of disappeared for whatever reason. Couldn't
Not everyone can handle the intensity and the power and the marvelousness
Right,
that's us.
right.
It's
right.
like they have too much exposure. It's like
And
we can never measure up. Stay away.
Yeah, and then we had some people, for example, Chaz or that other guy that interviewed us and stuff that were going to make stuff with us. But
Chaz is a really good guy too, who's going to try to develop an animated cartoon based on us. That would have been something.
Indeed.
On Cartoon Network, no less. That really would have been something. Of course, they'd say, it's too unbelievable. And they'd say, although it's not unbelievable, it's real life.
Speaking about Cartoon Network, we have a petition you can sign. We have like 3,000 people that signed it, trying to convince them that they should have us on their show, or Comedy Central, or Sci-Fi, or Comet, or whatever.
Whoever wants us.
That's right. We'd love to host old movies, or just be ourselves, or even we could do like one of those crazy virtual reality programs. Although no one will believe us because we are one step outside of reality.
That's 2 steps outside of reality.
Okay, 2 steps.
Sometimes we can see reality in the distance and we can wave, and maybe they can make us out.
Right,
but
right.
These are lots of figment of our imagination.
Go ahead and sign that petition. And if you happen to work for any sort of TV show or network or whatever,
or a movie studio,
go ahead and
or
suggest
any kind of internet online channel. There's lots of stuff online,
We'll work cheap initially.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Initially.
Yeah. I mean,
we're cheap, and we'll work cheap for a while.
And we are unforgettable.
That's for sure.
No one can forget.
They tried, believe me, but there aren't enough drugs to make you forget that face.
That's right.
You just can't be done.
There's people that met me 50 years ago, and Mark will mention, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Uncle Spicy will mention my name. He'll be like, I remember that guy. And then they'll see me and be like, you haven't changed a bit.
We used to go out all the time and on the weekends, and people would go by there and remember seeing him 10 years ago. And, look, well, he doesn't look exactly the same as them, but
that's right. I grew out the beard because I thought it looked a little cooler, a little freakier.
You don't need any help looking freaky, but whatever you want to
do. That. Although people used to say I look like
John Belushi.
John Belushi or Quentin Tarantino, both cool people. Yeah. They used to say that we look just like the Blues Brothers.
And you looked like Pluto for a while, but then you lost weight. Pluto from the Pop.
That's okay. I'm going to find it.
No doubt. It has a way of popping up again.
That's
popping up somewhere.
That's right. And I mean, you can see the evolution of the two of us by going back in our videos. We go back like 20 years or something. I don't know. We had a bunch at one point, but I deleted them. And
Jonwayne is God. There's a Emperor Jonwayne is God.
I think it's Jonwayne is God.
Jonwayne is God.
Obviously, if you're watching this, you're on the station.
Or Super Flash 70 had some too. That has some extra ones, but most of them are in Jonwayne is God. You can check them out. They go back. There's some good ones in there.
Oh yeah.
And someday maybe our movies and cartoon shows will come back up too.
Maybe
even bring back Nutsack of the Man is There. Although I'm not too big of a hurry to bring back Nutsack, but hey, everybody's got their following.
Of course, I'm going to keep trying to work on editing videos and stuff, so maybe I'll be able to do it myself. Although your human technology is a little annoying to me.
See, technology does not like this man. It doesn't. He loves technology more than I do, but it doesn't like him. It's not his fault.
See, I come from beyond space and time.
Right. So
from another universe entirely.
It doesn't
this
work.
Is just a projection of me in here. Like when you're playing a video game, one of those sandbox games or whatever, and you have an avatar inside the game and you get to make the character go around. That's what this is. I'm an avatar for a projection for a psychic and force that's outside space and time. So I create multiverses and universes, but understanding computers and all that stuff can be a tad bit annoying.
Oh, there's something else we should mention. We're also big professional wrestling fans.
Oh, yeah.
So if you need anyone for your wrestling shows as managers or something like that, or characters, hey, we'd be willing to do it.
Oh, yeah.
We are huge fans. We've been our fans all our lives. We had great wrestling growing up here in Wisconsin. The AWA, man, you can't beat the AWA.
Oh, yeah. Some of our favorite wrestlers were, of course, The Crusher.
Mad Dog Vachon, Baron Von Raschke. There's all sorts of them. My best match I ever saw in my life was King Kong Brody against Jerry Blackwell. I'll never forget it. Nick Bockwinkel, he's a great wrestler. Bobby the Brain Heenan at his best. Lots of good stuff.
Well, I guess we give you a little taste of Emperor Jonwayne and
Uncle Spicy.
Uncle Spicy. So we're gonna quick end this so we can take a look and see how it turned out, to see how the electronic equipment is doing, and then we're gonna record some more stuff that we'll probably throw up later. But this is our live feed, so maybe we'll do a weekly podcast from now on, just for the hell of it, to do something and stuff. So it's time to end stream.